Hey guys, so today we have another video doing individual concept cars for Dodge and Chrysler. And sorry if I sound a little different, it's just because I'm coming off of a cold. If you follow the channel, you'll know that I have a few other concept car series videos as well. The original one just shows 4 to 5 concepts per video, and then the second series did concept cars versus the real production version. In this third type of video though, today's video, we go more in depth on just one concept and give you more information that I wouldn't have time for in those other series. But those series are still going to be continuing, and I'll be adding to them whenever I have time. And I did post a poll a while ago, and you guys voted for the Chrysler Firepower, so here we are. The Chrysler Firepower is an awesome two-seater concept that first made its debut at the 2005 North American International Auto Show. To put it as simply as I can, this was Chrysler's take on making a luxury Viper that more people could be able to afford. It was a front-engine, steel-body sports coupe that came with a 6.1-liter V8. And the Firepower comes hot on the heels of the 2004 ME412 supercar concept. Many people were excited about the possibility that Chrysler was finally going to get a supercar, but Daimler Chrysler ended up pulling the plug on that project as they felt that it was not economically viable. But just a year later, Chrysler gave us the Firepower concept as they tried to enter the luxury GT Coupe segment. As with many Chrysler concept cars, this car was built using a lot of parts and hardware from a few other Chrysler vehicles to help reduce R&D costs by using stuff that they already had rather than developing new technology. So it gets some of its styling from the Chrysler Crossfire. The chassis was based off of a Gen 3 Dodge Viper and also had the axle, short long arm suspension, and fuel system from the Viper. And the 6.1-liter V8 Hemi engine and 5-speed automatic transmission were taken from the Chrysler 300 SRT8. More on performance soon. This car also definitely takes visual cues from the ME412 as well as the Aston Martin DB9. You can definitely see some resemblance in the glass shape, roof slope, and wraparound taillights. Brian Nylander, who made the ME412 concept design, also came up with the Firepower exterior design as well. Here are some quotes from Chrysler's strategy team members and designers that basically summarize the game plan for the Firepower. Quote, "We wanted to take the sports car theme and bring it down to earth. The question was, what can we do with a GT, and what can we do with the Viper chassis and this motor? The idea is an Aston for the common man, something that's more attainable." End quote. So where does the Firepower name come from? Well, the Firepower was Chrysler's first V8 engine, introduced in the fall of 1950. So Chrysler decided to pay homage to that engine with this concept name. The Firepower would have carried a price tag of roughly $65,000, and Chrysler wanted to sell about 45,000 of these per year at that price point. This was a time where Chrysler was continuing to move towards performance and elegance. The exterior is painted in hydro silver pearl and had dark carbon fiber and aluminum accents. The body was shaped strategically, keeping in mind aerodynamics, proper engine cooling, and rear downforce. There are LED daytime running lights on either side of a blinged out grille, and above that are jeweled LED headlights. That low mounted grille also helps for engine cooling as well. The car is beautifully sculpted with nice body lines, a long hood, and a glass roof that arches down quickly, extending all the way to the trunk. Polished aluminum adds some nice body accents on various spots on the exterior as well, and at the rear there's a carbon fiber diffuser with dual exhaust pipes just above it. The interior uses ocean deep blue as the primary color, mixing in oyster leather and bare maple accents. There are leather sports seats, automatic climate control, and a premium audio system. Everything that you can touch, including the steering wheel, control knobs, and shifter, were made of more luxurious materials. The area around the head unit had a simple yet elegant design. From the very limited pictures of the interior, the Firepower looked like a nice place to be. Many pieces here, such as the steering column, center tunnel, and pedals, were the exact same as the Vipers. Now let's take a look at one of the more exciting parts of the car, the performance. While it didn't have the V10 like the Viper, the 6.1-liter V8 Hemi still made 425 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque, and the 5-speed automatic had auto stick for manual shifting. The automatic was chosen as this was supposed to be a luxury car, and it was also rear-wheel drive. The curb weight was 3,400 pounds, so it wasn't as heavy as its Chrysler 300 brother, which was around 4,200 pounds. 0 to 60 happens in 4.5 seconds, quarter mile in 12.8 seconds, and the top speed was 175 miles per hour. So that gives the car some really respectable performance, all while getting 14 city and 19 highway MPG. I'll also throw some more engine specs on the screen if you're interested. When SRT was designing this engine, they added more cubic inches, bored out the diameter of the cylinders by 3.5mm each, increased the compression ratio, added new high-flow cylinder heads, specially designed intake manifold, and exhaust headers, and they also made the exhaust pipe a larger diameter, up 2.75 inches from 2.5 inches on the 5.7 Hemi. Moving on, the custom aluminum wheels and tires were huge, with 19 by 12 inch rims up front and 20 by 12 in the rear. Tires were Michelin Pilot Sport, sized up at 275/35/19 up front and 335/30/20 in the back. Beneath the wheels were 4-piston Brembos, with 14-inch discs up front and 12-inch discs in the rear. And the suspension was tuned from the Dodge Viper, with coilover shocks, A-arms, multi-link arms, and stabilizer bars. But as I said, the suspension was tuned, so they made it a lot softer, creating a ride similar to that of an Aston Martin, says Chrysler. The main competition of the Firepower was the Chevy Corvette. The C6 Corvette had 404 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of around 4.2 seconds, with a top speed of 186 miles per hour, so that's just slightly better than the Firepower, but similar performance too. And the pricing of both those cars would have been similar as well. And the Z06 was a step above in the Dodge Viper territory. Even though the Firepower seemed straightforward to build, it still took over 20,000 man-hours over at Metal Crafters, with a cost of between $1.2 and $3.2 million to build. For example, the paint job can cost around $40,000, while each wheel is up to $6,000 to produce, so that all adds up to a ton of money in the end. Another cool thing, the Firepower name officially came with an exclamation point at the end, which would look very odd on a badge. And one other thing, there have been 7 Hot Wheels versions of this car released over the years, all of them in Malaysia and Thailand. So why didn't it get made? Well, during 2005, it seemed that Chrysler was taking the steps forward to put it into production, even starting to build full bodies of this car with Metal Crafters. Chrysler sources at the time said that, quote, "It's about 80% likely that we'll build this," end quote. And Chrysler even owned the Firepower name at one point. They also said if they got positive reaction from the concept, which they did, they would likely build something very similar. The R&D costs were also reduced, as it would have shared the Viper chassis and Hemi engine with other models, so it didn't come with all the expenses of developing an entirely new model. A new sports car would have also increased Chrysler's presence in the premium sector, and had the car done well, it would have been easier to keep making the Viper and Viper chassis, creating a win-win situation for Chrysler. On the other hand, it was really expensive to build the Viper chassis, and the LX platform was going to be too heavy for a coupe like this. And in the end, we don't really know exactly why, but Chrysler said that they could not find a viable way to produce it, and it was cancelled, just like the ME412. So now you made it to the end of the video, and I'm just going to give off some of my final opinions. I think that the Firepower looked really good. It always reminded me of an Aston Martin as soon as I saw it, and it had the performance to match, and would have been a real head turner. And I think this is what Chrysler needed at the time, a smaller coupe with a reasonable price tag that can challenge Corvettes. As we already talked about, the Firepower also might have helped the Viper stay around longer, since they shared so many parts, so had the Firepower sold well, that money could have been used to develop both cars at once. The downside is that this was just basically another sports car similar to the Crossfire, just a lot more expensive, and the Crossfire didn't sell very well over its 5 model years, so this one might have not either. Chrysler chose to invest in their LX platform and develop other SRT models, like the Neon SRT4, but the Chrysler Firepower always makes you wonder what could have happened. So thanks for watching this video, hopefully you liked this episode, make sure to like and subscribe for more Mopar content, and I'll see you next time.